What is going on, Movie Meals? Movie Meals, I know there was a long break. I'm sorry we've disappointed you. Before we
Always
get
are.
into it, thank you, Movie Meal patrons, Kimberly and Karen. Don't forget, guys, we started a podcast. It's exclusive to Patreon only. It's only $1. We'd love if you went over and joined that. It's linked in the description. Some clip outs will come out from the episode. Sometimes, like on this next episode next week, will be where we both watch like shows like Barry. We're gonna review like some of those things there. If we don't get a chance to review them earlier separately, but those will be clipped out, things like that, and some interesting discussions. But here we're here to talk about Stranger Things, and this is gonna be spoilers galore. If you've not watched
Oh.
part two of season four, the stupidity that is a part two of season four, um, then come back later. Put this on your watch list and come back later, guys. We'd love to hear your comments. Like this video, subscribe, share it around. Check us out on TikTok. I made a couple TikToks on Stranger Things. It's all linked in the description. Go do that. So let's just get into it here. Spoilers galore. We'll just start, Kyle. General thoughts. What did you think? Spoilers. This is the last time I'm going to say it, gall dang it. What do you think of Stranger Things season 4 and how much do you hate it? We all know
Why would
you
I
do,
hate
though.
it? I like
You
everything.
you you hate Stranger Things. Have been since day one. Except for Will. You're the biggest fan of Will, I know.
People need to give Will a break. I guess we'll
They
start there
do.
with Port. Let's
They
give poor
do.
Will a break. First off, his 80s haircut, it's literally 80s. It was a bad haircut, bad bowl
It was
cut.
the
He's
style in the
poor.
90s, too.
His
Bowl
his
cuts were a
mom
thing.
his mom can't afford good scissors, so they probably take out the bad scissors and give him a bad bowl cut. And the poor guy is like just trying to figure out himself. I mean, he has PTSD from being trapped in the what's it called, the upside down for a whole
Don't you
season,
call
and
it
he
the
comes back and he's
underground?
I almost did call it the underground. Season 2, he gets possessed. I assume now it's Vecna that tried to possess him. It kind of seems like it based on the events that we saw in the finale. And it does tie some stuff together very well. But
People have been saying though that if you go back and look at season 1 when he falls off the bike in that first episode, that the creature doesn't really look like a Demogorgon. It looks more like a like Vecna. And so people think
yeah,
that that'll
could be.
be revealed in season 5, but yeah,
Well, that
just for a little clarification on the history and the lore of Stranger Things here, but continue your
sure.
thoughts.
Well, I just between all that Will has gone through, and then despite being maybe a little too ambiguous about it, like he's trying to convince his feelings to Mike, and I thought it was kind of sweet and also sad. But people just keep mocking the poor kid for having a bad haircut and lining up a poor Will. He's doing his best. He's in the 80s. It's you have to like keep that sexuality stuff really hit at the time. He was poor, had bad
I mean,
scissors.
they don't even
Leave
really
the poor guy
reveal
alone.
that in this season. They don't really reveal it. I mean, he
No,
gives him a
but
big speech about how much he loves him and how he's the
uh,
leader of their group, and then cries in the corner, and it got memed because everybody was like, "How the heck does why can't I think of his name? Finn Wolfhard's
Mike,
character, Mike. How does Mike? They're like, how does Mike not know he's just sobbing next to him? And I
guys,
think that
Mike's an
really
idiot.
confirms it. I think that really confirmed it. And to be honest, I
Yeah.
love the conversation we get later then with his brother, where they're
Oh
talking about how
yeah,
he
for
says you
sure.
can tell me anything, and people have been complaining. They did if it we're not in Hawkins, I don't want to watch. Is basically what I keep hearing. And get over it. Hawkins is no more. We don't need no more Hawkins in our day.
Hawkins did get ripped up to shreds pretty well, which I guess like when the ripping apart of Hawkins was happening, I thought that meant despite L having a good battle against Vecna, taking him out by the looks of it, that somehow I guess he still was able to win because he took out um Sadie's character's name. I'm spacing on it now, but I just assumed that was gonna mean like it's apocalyptic now in this town, like no man land, and they're gonna have to still try to defeat him. But they both won and lost at the same time. Like Will said, that Vecna is still around, but yet he's also not. And then the ground's ripped apart, but everyone's still good. I don't know. It was it was a really cool ending, and I like that they went there for the town of Hawkins because bad things just keep happening to this town. And it's like, yeah, that looks about right, but it didn't necessarily make me confused about like the state of Vecna, but it just made me feel like it was trying to be dramatic, but also not go too far with it at the same time. So it was a weird mixture of emotions that I was feeling, but it was cool, but just a weird mixture of emotions.
I'm gonna get right into it here. This is
Okay.
the best season since season one. Um, They've added the mystery element back for most of this part one, and it really works. The part one and twos are stupid. It's just Netflix's way to release them to stay, later to stay in the media longer, which is
Yeah.
smart since they dug themselves into a hole. But uh I really liked Eddie as a character. I really liked his death. I thought his death was honorable. It was awesome. There are theories that he's not dead, that he's actually going to come back as a vampire, because he plays Master of Puppets, and kind of what that song talks about and what it has represented throughout
Cool
time.
scene.
And he's got they do a lot of foreshadowing in this show. I saw this on Twitter, I think, where I never noticed he has bats tattooed on his arm, and it's like, oh, he's gonna die from bats. Uh,
Mhm.
so I thought his death was awesome. I thought the conversation. Why can't I think of any of these kids' names?
I'll
Who's my
start looking up
favorite
the
kid?
character list. They have
Who's
too
my
many
favorite
characters.
kid's names? Dustin. Dustin is maybe my favorite character, him or Steve.
Yeah.
And his conversation with his uncle, Eddie's uncle, I thought was really, really good and really powerful. Um,
Mhm.
uh, but here's the thing that my biggest critique, and I just made a TikTok about it.
Oh, fun. Check us out on TikTok.
Max should be dead. Max
Agreed.
should be dead. 100%. I
Yep.
hate the whole thing with Elle. Elle has the Force now. She can heal people. She has Force healing abilities. That's not explained. Like in my head, I think she just uses her telekinesis as a form of like CPR and gets her heart to move long enough for
Mhm.
paramedics to get there. Is kind of what I came up with in my head. But I hate it. I hate it. I think her death and the way they built that up, the way they have it where she's gonna lose, no, she's gonna win. She does win, no, she loses. We all lose, was excellent. I thought that was some of the best filmmaking I had seen in a while. I was like, this is one of the best scenes I have seen in movies, TV doesn't matter, in years. Like, I started thinking of Battle of the Bastards from Game of Thrones, which is the greatest battle ever put to cinema. I started thinking about how we subvert audiences' expectations, the differences between surprise and suspense, and I thought they put all of that into those scenes. Um, and they ruin it by keeping her alive. And I love the actress. I think she does a phenomenal job. I really have
Mhm.
loved her character, but I'm not of the belief that characters should stay alive because they're loved. I think that if your story brings you to a point where that loved character should die, you should do it and you should take the risk. And it's something I think only Game of Thrones has actually been able to do. Walking Dead was able to do it for a little bit. Game of Thrones has done it. The Boys can't do it, has yet to do it, but they got a comic to follow. I don't know how the comic goes. But like a show like The Boys could go in that direction. But I think nobody's had the balls to kill off a big character. And people were saying, if Steve dies, I'm going to riot. I was saying, I hope Steve dies because I'll riot. That's the point. Those are what's going to hit harder. Eddie's death was very well done because he was so likable right off the bat. But if you kill off Max there and keep her dead, you leave us on a note that is all time iconic, and they didn't do it, and it's a huge bummer because this season really brought Stranger Things back for me, because after season 2 I
It's
was kind
true.
of like and I kind of sludged through season 3, and I liked season 3. But it's not that great. I don't think they've made a bad season of television. I think they have 2 episodes in whatever season it was where Elle goes off with the X-Men. I thought that was That's not good, but outside of that, everything else is pretty good. You know, it's either good to great. And
Excellent.
I I just man, I really wish they would have killed her off. It didn't need to be Steve for me. Could have been Nancy, could have been Max, could have been Will, could have been whoever. But if they've killed off a major character and the way they got Max to that point and they trick you and they do it in such a beautiful way that is such masterful filmmaking that the fact that they don't do it, this is must be how people feel with Disney and Star Wars at times. Like I just can't handle it. You've got to get rid of it would have been so great. It would have been such a great moment. And I know speaking of Star Wars, I know that the Duffer brothers have been very vocal in their interviews that they are trying to model the original Star Wars trilogy and that this season is their Empire Strikes Back. And they said that before part 2 came out, so everybody was like, "Oh, we're going to lose." They don't really lose. They win and lose at the same time.
Yeah,
The ground
it's
just opens up. Um
yeah.
Another side note, thank goodness they bring the fight to the Upside Down. They're not gonna, again, because it looks like the Upside Down and the real world are about to merge, but
Mhm.
thank goodness we finally went into the Upside Down. We got a little bit more explanation about what it is, this power that one was able to control and harness.
Mhm.
Seems like he's a leader. Will the Mind Flayer come back? Who the frick frack knows? But so the Duffer brothers have been saying, we're gonna do, the next season, the final season, will be Return of the Jedi. It's going to be our hero win moment. But my biggest thing is no one dies in those movies except for Yoda. Yoda's the one who dies, the wise, masterful guy, but you're not connected to Yoda. And Yoda dies in the beginning of the next movie. So like unless somebody's dying in the first 2 episodes of the next season, I just don't think it hits as well. I don't they literally do with Max what they do with Han. They put him in a coma. And to me, it's too on the nose. You're saying this is our Empire Strikes Back, and you make sure that it happens beat by beat at times. And I think killing Max would have been better for the story, better for the characters. It would make the payoff next season when they do have the Return of the Jedi moment so much more impactful when there's a little revenge in there. But what do you think of everything I'm talking about? I've been blabbering here. Gotta
Um,
adjust.
no, I agree. I thought
You always
that
do.
it was frustrating to see that Max. Yeah, what am I trying to say here? I suppose it goes back to me saying like at the end of the show they win but also lose, but they didn't like the creators didn't really choose a lane. That's kind of the same thing with Max. They weren't able to
Yeah,
choose a lane on what to do with it. They tried to have the cake and eat it too. And look, I like the actress. I love that character a lot. But I think with the way they've done such
yeah,
really really great storytelling, they haven't done too much in season 2 or season 3. When you come back this strong and you do it and you have all this build up, it probably would have been the right choice to at least have some sort of death for characters. It could have been one of the other characters that you mentioned, but with the position that you put yourself in with the story, it probably would have made a lot of sense to do it with Max, and it would have added to the stakes of all of the characters that are about to go beat Vecna, because I don't care about the town of Hawkins. Like it's just a place. I don't care that they're fighting for the town of Hawkins. I would care more if they're fighting to have Will be done with this once and for all, for Elle to finally move on and have a normal life, for avenging, Max, Eddie, Barb from season 1. That's the point of this show, is like these characters and they're fighting hard to do the
hashtag
right thing.
justice for
And
Barb.
it's yeah, so it's a bit of some Duffer Brothers type stuff that I've noticed throughout the show, with their characters. They do a great job with making you like characters, but they have a hard time pulling the trigger on the characters. But
Yeah, and the
this
best.
season, oh, you go.
No, no, you finish.
I was just gonna mention that I really like Vecna, and I really liked how his story ties in with not only Elle's story, but
Mm-hmm.
also harkening back to the events of season 1, to where in season 4 she puts him in the upside down, I believe, and then somehow in season 1 she opens the gate for him to try and get through. And that's
Yeah,
what's been going on for all these seasons. He keeps trying to open a gate, she keeps closing it. So I thought that was, I don't know if that was the overall plan, but at least they did enough for that to make it seem like it's an overall plan.
I mean, they
So
had their
I have
25
to.
page treatment. They had a 25-page treatment of the Upside Down, what
Apparently,
it means, this big book. We've been hearing about it since season one. I know some people were mad, didn't like this season as much because they thought that they called the one surprise. They were like, oh, this is totally Vecna. I don't see how that
sure,
matters. I don't see how calling it matters. I don't think it changes a thing. I don't think that it's directed and written to be a surprise. It's a surprise for the characters, but not a surprise for the audience. And I don't think they're trying to hide it. Um, I know
sure,
some people don't
yeah.
like they think there was some rule bending of Vecna and that the way he's able to suddenly open gates, and it seems like since the beginning they've had this kind of military hierarchy of these monsters, and so you're gonna send your pawns first to test the waters. They do that a couple times. They're like, all right, let's try one more big guy. Okay, this is really not working. I'm just gonna open my own portals. I think that really works. I had a whole thing, which is what I was going to interrupt you for earlier, and I don't remember what it is now.
That's all right, because I want to bring up the sound design anyway. I think the use of sound and the editing that's done in this show is really, really good. Some of it is a little goofy at times, like they throw them a broom and you can hear like the woo and the coo sound effects to like make
Oh
it feel
yeah,
very dramatic. And
makes it
some
80s
of
to
the
me.
but exactly though, it works for that 80s flavor, and it does really work in a lot of the moments of the show. There's just a few moments where it's like, you don't need to go that far with it, like tossing
Yeah,
me a broom. But
no, go louder.
I just for some reason notice it in this season compared to others, and I'm sure if I look back on the previous seasons, I would find that same sort of thing. But I don't know. For some reason, with this season, I just noticed it a lot more, and I was really impressed by it. I was really appreciative of it.
I remember what I was going to say. So
Go ahead.
Will has had the same thing happen every season. He's
Bold
put to
cut.
the side, might have a speech or two here and there, but he's
Hmm.
really put to the side. And then at the end of every season, he's touching the back of his neck because something's going on. And at the end of this
Uh-oh.
season, when the cracks open up, his nose was bleeding.
Mm.
Um, and he felt the back of his neck. And so people wonder, does he have powers? Is he really a vessel for Vecna? And that's why Vecna is not dead. Some people think Vecna is going to transfer his consciousness into Max. Most of the theories I've heard are garbage. I think that would be awful. I think it'd be awful. Max is our villain now.
Yeah.
It'd be bad. It'd be bad. Bad.
Yeah.
Not
I
good.
just I'm very curious about what's going to happen with Max, because it's
Yeah.
almost worse that she's like blind, paralyzed, and in a coma as compared to
Some
just killing the poor girl.
some
Like I don't
theories
mean to
are
laugh, but
some
oh,
theories are also looking at the clock, that the shot when everything's ripping open and whatever, and she's about to be murdered. The clock is turning backwards, and the Upside Down is stuck in a different time. So
right.
people think that they'll go back in time, and because they've shown so many things
Oh,
about Back to the Future, and they've talked about Back to the Future so much that they're foreshadowing it, because the Duffer Brothers love to foreshadow.
yeah,
That I'm a little more okay with than Max becoming the vessel for Vecna. But it just depends on how they do it. If they can pull off a season 1 and 4 story, I'm in. If they pull off a season 2 and 3 story, I'm out. And the things about season 2 and 3 is the plot, the story was just the same. They weren't that different. They weren't good. But the one good thing they did is they put new characters together and developed their relationships, which then makes it so much better when you kill one of them off, which they did not do. And they're not going to earn it. Well, they might, but I'm not sure they're going to earn it as well in a season 5. You know,
yeah,
it's, oh, we lost. They got to stop bringing in new characters just to kill them. They're always like, here's our new character, goodbye.
yeah.
But
I
anyway,
agree. I
I
agree.
did like this season a lot. You got any final thoughts on this season?
I mean, all these actors are really good. I am really impressed that the Duffer Brothers felt like they listened and had time to go, okay, like we really need to bring it because we're nearing the end of this thing, and we gotta we got to make sure that people are still on board with the show in order to get like a really impactful ending. So with season 4, I was impressed that despite those long time run times, excuse me, where I was looking at those, I was like, oh, even for a show, I don't know if I'll want to power through that whole thing. But they were able to do it. They were able to write it very well, edit it really well, and they were able to make me feel like it was a really great experience to um, be in on this show despite the hiatus that was kind of happening with the show, the long run times with the show episodes. And it does make me want to come back in and be ready for season 5 whenever that will be. So
It's
props to
supposed to be
these guys, they
2024.
brought their A game. Crap, well, I'll get back to you guys on how I feel.
Yeah, it's Netflix. They take 80 years. Some people have been
Mhm.
making jokes like, how many Fast and Furious movies do you think are going to come out before we get Stranger Things season 5? Like how many how many
Yeah,
these or those? And yeah, I liked this season a lot. It brought me back. I do think when it comes out, I think the Duffer Brothers said they're writing it starting in August, so they're taking a month
oh,
off
okay.
or something, and then they're gonna start writing the season, and then probably film mid to late 2023 into 2024. It needs to air on Halloween. I think it'd be a massive mistake not to air on Halloween. I think they've made a big mistake not putting it back on Halloween since season 1 because they have not. Season 2 might
I'm
have been on Halloween, but season 3 was over the 4th of July. Season 4, 2 parts, don't care. Put it on Halloween when everybody's in the mood for horror, even more so. Dominate that area. You can dominate all of November until Thanksgiving. That is the smart move. I think they need to move it back there. But guys, what do you think? Comment below, let us know. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you, Meal patrons. And as always, thanks for watching, Mom.
See you guys.